Hello, I'm Annette Young and welcome to the 51%, a show about women reshaping our world coming up. Abortion laws in Argentina under threat, with a far-right presidential candidate declaring if he wins, he will seek to repeal the right to abortion while eliminating the Ministry of Women. Also a historic moment for the Catholic Church. The Synod of Bishops, where women will be allowed to vote for the first time, gets underway in Rome. I'll be asking Kate McElwee, the Executive Director of the Women's Ordination Conference, if this gathering heralds major changes in the Church. Plus, Claudia Goldin wins the Nobel Economics Prize for work on the reasons for the gender pay gap, the Harvard professor becoming only the third woman to win the prestigious prize. But first, Argentina's presidential election race is placing abortion access and women's rights in the spotlight. This in a nation that's already been a pioneer in expanding reproductive rights in Latin America. Frontrunner Javier Milei opposing abortion and now wants to hold a referendum to repeal the 2020 laws which legalised the procedure for the first 14 weeks. The far-right candidate also wants to shut down the Ministry of Women, Gender and Diversity. This report from our team on the ground on how his campaign is dividing the country.
From his bedroom, Eric is actively involved in Javier Milei's campaign. He is part of an army of young people, many of them men backing the far right. He galvanizes his 12,000 social media followers online. Many are Catholics and evangelists. His favorite topic?
Today we are going to talk about abortion, or termination as the law calls it, to minimize this crime, which is a horrific prenatal genocide of industrial proportions.
Javier Milei has vowed that if he wins the election, he will hold a referendum on repealing 2020 legislation guaranteeing the right to abortion in Argentina.
We need to take action. Milei is going to. We need to move forward with him.
Feminists in the country are responding to the threat of a repeal of abortion legislation. These young women have gathered ahead of a demonstration to defend abortion rights. Glitter and face paint are helping them work up courage.
This is a crucial time. We have to take to the streets. Fear must not hold us back, even though it's normal to be scared of this far right. We are young. We are strong.
Thousands of demonstrators marched towards Congress, among them many young women and also long-time activists. Nellie fought every battle to gain the right to abortion on this same square. She was there for every setback until the final legislation was passed 3 years ago.
I thought that at my age, with my grey hair, I would be done with this. But it is a right we won in the streets, and we will fight for it again in the streets.
Argentina's pro-abortion activists hope to put the brakes on Milei's rise. Polls indicate he will prevail on the 22nd of October and advance to the November runoff.
Now to Rome, where women will be allowed to vote for the first time at a meeting of Catholic bishops. It comes as the Vatican seeks to address some of the Church's thorniest issues in an agenda that's rattled many conservatives. In a historic move back in April, Pope Francis approved changes to the rules governing the Synod of Bishops, paving the way for women to hold 54 of the 365 votes as the Church maps out its path for the future. Joining me now from Rome is Kate McElwee, the Executive Director of the Women's Ordination Conference. Kate, thank you very much for your time. This synod, due to participation by women, is truly a momentous event. So what are you hoping will be achieved at this summit?
Exactly. This is a truly different looking synod and feeling synod. So my hope is that those within the synod hall are courageous and really bring the voices from the prophetic margins and the grassroots of the Catholic Church that are longing for equality. Throughout the synodal process leading up to this meeting in Rome, the Vatican initiated listening sessions at the local level. And from around every corner of the globe, we heard women calling out for equality, for full participation and opening all ministries to women. So my hope is that those voices carry within the Synod Hall, and those women, particularly the 54 who are there, are courageous. I think it's also important that the bishops who are there break away from the idea that we've always done it this way and are open to change and new ways of operating.
Yet the reality, Kate, is that women are very much integral to the Catholic Church. They teach in Catholic schools, they staff Catholic hospitals, yet they are still barred from becoming priests. Are we now on a path where the ordination of women in the Church is becoming a distinct possibility?
No, I've been very hopeful in the ways that the topic of women's ordination has been consistent throughout the synodal process leading up to this meeting in Rome. And so this is an opportunity to dialogue, which just a few years ago was not possible in the Catholic Church. These formerly taboo topics are firmly on the table, on the agenda. And so this is the beginning. I mean, it's a long road for women's full equality in the Catholic Church, but it begins by listening to the voices of women, particularly those who have a sincere call to priesthood, who long for equality to serve their church. And this is an opportunity for their voices to be heard. So I'm hopeful that this meeting will bring together their courageous voices.
Do you believe you've got the support of Pope Francis?
Pope Francis is a very pastoral man, and so my hope is that he's able to really listen to women. I think there's a disconnect between how he operates at the Vatican, surrounded by so many men, and the reality of church and parish life around the world, which is largely led by women. So I don't think he's yet had the opportunity to truly encounter and listen to women and hear their pain. And so I hope that this synod, this gathering in Rome, is an opportunity for him to hear their stories and be transformed by their pain and their heart.
But at very senior levels, the pushback is strong, with 5 Conservative cardinals expressing their disappointment at having greater female participation at the Synod. Is there a danger of polarisation or even a split within the Church over this?
Exactly. Yeah, there was a dubia that was released just days before this meeting in Rome opened by 5 arch-conservative cardinals who have voiced their opposition to Pope Francis from the very beginning of his pontificate. And so I think there's a danger that I think they sense the change on the ground, that women are more and more longing to be heard, that the conversation is becoming more and more mainstream. The call for women's ordination is coming from every corner of the globe. And so I think that there's a chance. The church is very divided already. And so I think this synod is an opportunity to come together, to reconcile our differences, and really think about what would best serve the church today. And surely that must begin with the equality of women at every level.
50 years from now, Kate, what do you hope the Catholic Church will look like?
I think it's amazing to imagine what a church that modeled equality could look like. It could truly be a witness for justice around the world. The Catholic Church does amazing, incredible service around the world. It leads in social justice, and yet women are still unequal. There's a fundamental inequality in the Catholic Church. And so if women were truly equal in the Catholic Church, I think it could really be a witness for justice and equality around the world, and a model for other countries and through diplomacy to say that just fundamentally, this is not a question we need to discuss anymore. Women are equal in every way.
Kate McElwee, it's been great speaking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And finally, this year's Nobel Economics Prize has been awarded to Claudia Goldin, an American economic historian, for her groundbreaking work examining wage inequality between men and women. Her research uncovering the main reasons behind the gender pay gap. She's only the 3rd woman to receive the prize and the first not to share the award with male colleagues.
Women in the workforce. That's Claudia Goldin's area of expertise.
Women who traditionally have been in the home have entered employment.
Throughout her career, Professor Goldin analysed more than 200 years of data. Now aged 77, her work has finally paid off. She's been awarded the Nobel Prize in Economics for busting some myths about the gender pay gap in the US.
As women have increased their role in the labor force, it's become more apparent that there are these huge residual differences. And we stand back from them and we ask, why are there these differences? Women are now more educated than men. They graduate from college at much higher rates than men. They do better in high school than men do. So why are there these differences?
In the US today, for every dollar a man makes, women only make slightly more than 80 cents. Even though they hold the same job, men often get paid more. According to Goldin's research, parenthood could be responsible for the pay gap. Mothers in their late 30s or early 40s often slow down. They reduce their work hours and sometimes put their careers on hold to look after their children. During that time, men work longer hours and climb up the job ladder. As the kids grow, women get back to work, but even if they increase their hours, they never reach what Goldin describes as the rich valley of gender equality. Although she insists women have come a long way.
It was not that long ago that women could be fired not just for being pregnant, not just for having children, but being capable of being pregnant, and that's the Johnson Controls case. So women have won a tremendous amount.
Claudia Goldin is only the third woman to win the Nobel Prize in Economics, paving the way for more women to follow her footsteps.
And that's all for this edition. We'd love to hear your suggestions for the 51%, so do get in touch via Facebook, Instagram, or X, formerly known as Twitter, of course. And you can catch our previous episodes on our website. So until our next show, bye for now.